What's going on, everybody? Welcome to your full moon in Sagittarius, sun and rising sign horoscopes. I'm astrologer Brian Scarborough here, Fixed Air Moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. Looking forward to going through these with you. Little quick hits on how these energies of this full moon can be affecting you or how to use it in a positive way in your life. Appreciate you all. Thanks for the ones who are tuning in live and giving your Saturday to me too. I appreciate that. All right. As always, got to start with Aries, first sign. All right, Aries, full moon, your ninth house in Sag. So, it's the release, right? The release of certain beliefs, emotional, that's the thing is we always do get very emotionally attached to anything that we really believe in or what our higher purpose is, or sometimes even with, knowledge in our life, right? So this is like understanding that you don't know it all. You have to kind of be willing to learn more, to release. The sun is in Gemini here. It's all alone too. So it kind of needs that focal point in that third house of like taking in information, debate, learning from other people, not knowing everything. This can be a very emotional time of wanting to, project some kind of a knowing in your life. I think that, know things. And I'm not saying don't pretend like you don't know anything, but in some essences here, we got to kind of empty the cup of our knowledge so that we can take in more information here. There's still a lot to learn. There's a lot on the journey. This full moon is reminding us that there's a big, vast world out there. It's a big journey. There's an infinite number of things to learn, to take in, to have a philosophy on, to quest for in our life, right? So we need to be adaptable here and learn how to take a little off the top to welcome in new information, new knowing, new perspective, all these great expansive things. Using your mind, your intuition is super important. Intuition is going to be extremely heightened for you with this full moon. You're probably feeling it already. That's the push and pull, right? It's like the knowing, the intuitive knowing, yes, like I feel this, I believe this, I know this, but balancing that act with the fact of the matter, what people are actually saying, what information has presented itself in your life to make you feel that way, instead of just the hunch, just the knowing. Balance that out. Ask the question when you get the knowing right now, like it's very important to not just fall right directly into that situation, but to be able to absorb the information that's present and see if that correlates with the knowing, right? So the balance is definitely very mental for you. Especially with, Jupiter being the dispositor of the moon, being with the North Node, still in a square to Pluto, still in a square to Mars. I mean, there's definitely pressure on belief here, and maybe it's because your quality of life that you want is changing too, or your sense of value, your sense of identity, the things you want to have, hold, own, feel. There could be little shifts taking place that you're just like trying to understand. So, look, be open to information right now. Have a belief always in life, especially if it makes you feel good. It makes you feel good, like, safe, secure, comfortable. All these things are great, but make sure it's actually providing quality into your life. And then at the same token, it's not really like time to give up on things either. It's a balance between the push so hard on the journey and then also knowing maybe when to throttle it back a little bit and see if it actually does feel good before we just assume that maybe something feels good. I know this will feel good. Well, did you actually experience it? Right? So it's kind of a time where like experience is key, and like what your body's actually feeling, there's a lot of truth in that too. So you're going to broaden your horizons, by making room for more of what the feeling is, the truth, the information that is trying to find you. What's that looking like, right? It's important. And especially for you, Mars is your ruling planet and it's in your fifth house. So, I mean, there's a ton of gusto within Aries right now. A ton of creative power that wants to go somewhere. And I think that the more open and flexible you are right now, Aries, the more you're going to find the enjoyment, if you will, in whatever it is you're putting your energy into. Whatever it is that your body and your mind is trying to create, it'll feel like it has a lot of energy built into it. So that's a great thing, because I think the vitality levels for you right now are super high. So the curiosity, that just means, again, more curiosity, the better. Go on the journey. Ask the questions. then you will have so much strength and energy to go create what you've learned, what you've experienced, what you desire, what feels good in your life. Super important. So a little bit of beliefs are, changing. We just got to make room for more knowledge, Aries. That's all it is. I mean, I think really like not being so dogmatic or stuck on the knowing of anything will give you so much vitality, whether you're adding to what you already know and expanding because new information was present and you took that in, or whether you're just willing to kind of see where the journey takes you, and be willing to have detours, right? A lot of vitality for you in that. So very, pretty positive. I think that the Aries are going to learn a lot about themselves, what makes them feel good, and how to stay dedicated, persistent, and kind of just on the trail. And the trail splits at times in life, and we get to make choices. And then we kind of get to check on which one feels better, which one looks better. A lot of this is so physical too. It's mental and physical for you. So it's like really like when you're looking at a split in the road, which one actually, what's the fact of the matter? Like, at least from what you can see, go off that. Like this trail looks like the one I want to take. Perfect. Instead of maybe even just also the belief or the dogmatic sort of energy that's like, well, my guru or a map or something told me that I have to go this way, right? So that's another essence too. Like there's an element of wanting to be free to go about the journey in a way that I think really just matches with what brings quality to your life, and to mix it up if you're not getting that, right? Taurus. Taurus, this is a full moon in your 8th house. So not the most comfortable of places to have a full moon, to say the least. But in essence, it's trying to renew a lot here. So any kind of like very deep emotional attachment or something that you maybe care very, very deeply for, and you want it to, really just in some essence provide for you. And this is something that's going to be outside of yourself. Like it's not necessarily yourself taking care of yourself, which is where the sun's at in your 2nd, and you're a Taurus. So there's this knowing that you can always take care of yourself and nurture yourself, but this full moon's almost bringing up insecurities around can I, or some kind of an emotional attachment to something. So, and it's really tied to a belief because it's Sagittarius. So this is a great moment to be able to let go of beliefs, of intuitive knowing, of, even somebody else's psychological sort of understanding of things, like really thinking maybe you totally know what's going on in another person's life. It's a good time to, focus more on yourself and like have compassion and empathy in some ways for other people too. Because who knows what other people are going through right now, and who knows what you're going through. I mean, there could be a lot of emotional volatility here. It's a little volcanic. So it's like, again, finding that balance between being able to trust, being vulnerable, but also really putting more of the trust on yourself. Really putting, being vulnerable within yourself at the same time. And not, always expecting somebody else to be that sort of uplifting presence in life for you. So, I mean, it could feel like you're definitely having to let go of something you deeply care about, or you're emotionally very attached to and have a vision for, thought maybe you knew where things were going. It could be a little volatile because this full moon's like, well, guess what? It's going to go a way that is a little uncomfortable. And it's only uncomfortable because we gave something else a bunch of power, saying that it would be comfortable, and we really believed in it, right? So that's a part of this, sort of full moon energy. It's like being able to just, okay, I don't have control over situations outside of myself, but I have great control over myself. So I'm going to handle situations that bring more quality into my life, that help me understand myself better, and that, ultimately every situation outside of self is just a great learning experience, right? To learn more about self. And I think that's where a lot of this is, especially that full moon. Again, Sagittarius, disposited by Jupiter, with the North Node in your 1st house, Mercury and Uranus in your 1st house. Total, like, revitalization of the way that you think about yourself, feel about yourself, and believe in yourself right now, to really, I think, get very like one-pointed and singular on what's going to be more quality, what's going to be a better path in life, what really fits your reality and your identity. And I think that you're learning a lot about yourself right now through exterior situations that can be emotionally trying, if you will. And that's good. We learn a lot through our feelings and through our emotions, which are different things, right? Feelings are more physical, psychological, and emotions are actually more of a reaction. And Mars is in your fourth house. So emotional reactions can definitely come out here, but also reactions from feelings, like feeling a little tense, feeling a little angry. There's like a little bit of like deeper aggression within Taurus right now. So there's a volatility for you right now. It's going to pass. It's not going to be forever, but I think you're really trying to establish yourself right now. And again, I think it's just an important time to remember that it's a hard time to put a bunch of power in somebody else's hands. Yes, we also, with this kind of a chart for you and a full moon in the 8th, need to trust others too. So there could be beliefs around trust issues or not letting people in. Like that has to, something's got to change, right? So it's either, for some, it's going to be being able to show themselves and express themselves more to others. And for others, it's going to be more of just something's not really a magnetic attraction, magnetically and frequency going on in life with something that isn't you. And you can't keep giving that power at the same. You got to shift power into your hands here. And I think that you'll find a ton of power and stamina through doing that. But Mars in the fourth can kind of dig a hole in some essence. Like it's very volcanic internally. And it makes it feel like just everything in your foundation of everything that you feel, that nobody else feels but you, is a little tensed up at the same token. Possibly, family stuff could be tense, home stuff. Could also be, a lot of action taking place because you're trying to build something very substantial right now and trying to figure out maybe all the pieces that go into that. So you're getting a big identification on a lot of things in life. What you have control over, what you don't have control over, the things that you realize you don't have control over, don't obsess or get so, this is the only thing that'll make me feel good. Like you have to self-soothe right now if you're feeling that way. You have to give yourself the empowerment. And a ton of growth and knowledge comes through just that. Also, Venus is your ruling planet. It's opposite Pluto in your third. So I think for you too, expression is a very important thing right now. Also, when it comes to having conversations is important too, because there could be some really volatile conversations, especially with relationships or comfort. Certain feelings can be tested. I mean, it's very plutonic for you right now. And maybe because you're going through big transformations of self-understanding, so all of a sudden, like, your frequency's changing and the frequency of others is maybe staying in the place where it's supposed to be right now. It can definitely just feel like there's a lot of aspects of life opposing you. And a lot of that, too, is going to be, your mind taking control, which is a good thing if you're putting it into, positive places of like self-empowerment here and like self-confidence. But if your mind is going too deep into dark places about just the needs and the wants and giving power to the external, I think it'll feel like you're being very limited and held back. And this is like a good time to, whatever you think outside of yourself is stopping you, that belief has to change. Because in a lot of essence here, this is like a big moment for you to take a lot of accountability for how you feel in life right now. And to be able to be mutable in a sense too, and change that frequency if you wish to. So, got Gemini's up next. All right, 7th house. Happy birthday to the Geminis. So full moon in the seventh, right? Definitely lots of people stuff. But again, comes back to Sagittarius. Like there's a lot of beliefs. There's a lot of visions about relationships, ideals, hopes. You can get very like almost like put other people sometimes on a higher pedestal than you. There's like this guru element to Sagittarius too. And I think that Gemini love when their partners can teach them something and have a lot to share. And I think this is important for the stimulation for Gemini. But I think with just other people and relationships to all things right now, a belief maybe that somebody, again, has to like tip your scales in the right direction too, or if there's like codependency things. These are issues that I think could be heightened right now, and you want to pay attention to those. And again, come back and like balance things out with yourself. It's your birthday, season, for Christ's sakes. Like you need to definitely be relating to yourself right now and putting more, it's a balance here. I wouldn't say more attention on yourself, but definitely making sure that you're understanding yourself right now, because there's so much emotion kind of tied up right now with a full moon in your seventh in the other. It can almost like outshine like your understanding and your identification of who you are. So it's important just to make sure that you're not putting somebody else on a level that you feel like you have to achieve, and that you're not also comparing and contrasting too much with others, because that's another area too with the South Node in your sixth where you can start to overjudge yourself, overjudge others. And it's a weird one for you too, Gemini, because your ruling planet happens to be in your 12th, and it's with Uranus, and Jupiter's in your 12th. Again, in Jupiter, and with the North Node, disposits the full moon. So mentally, it's not like you're thinking like a Gemini necessarily right now. Like you're not thinking in that linear fashion. Everything's bigger and more abstract and more of a fantasy. That's not a bad thing. It's just that trying to understand every feeling or emotion or what other people are feeling or emoting is kind of it's all over the place with Uranus, I'll be honest. So it's just like, kind of want to try to calm the mind a little bit, but it's going to be difficult because I think your mind can go into subconscious rabbit holes here. If there's any sort of relationship patterns right now that really don't feel right, or they don't feel pure in essence at the same token, there's a reason why, and it's trying to teach you and give you an identification so that you can kind of break maybe a unconscious, trait or habit here. So, very, very hard to mentally, I think, understand every situation right now, especially if you're dealing with other people. And I think there can be a big need here to either want to really get into somebody else's emotions or psychology, or just putting a lot of focus on the other right now. And you just want to be able to really like focus on you a little bit more, and your patterns and your habits. And it's not like somebody else is always going to have an answer for you either. Sometimes you got to kind of go deeper within yourself, I think, to figure out what the solution or how to get things, in a harmonious aspect in life. You got to definitely see what's going on. And if there's, uncomfortable aspects, again, with any sort of a person or something that we're relating to in life right now, it's just trying to show you, the identification, so that I think you can be open to how relationships can change by maybe understanding yourself better. We can always understand another better, or at least have empathy and understanding in a way that just is like, okay. So it's a weird one for Gemini, because I think any kind of like knowing of what other people are doing too isn't going to get you very far, or judging situations. It's going to be an interesting one, especially with Mars in your third, because that's kind of bringing a lot of intensity and stimulation into your mind too, which, again, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing for you. It's just with your 12th house so stacked right now, you got to be careful with anxiety, especially if it's related to other people. If you're trying to understand and deal with stuff more about yourself right now, I think it'll be a little easier to work through. But if it's all correlating to a big buildup with something exterior, I think that it can cause a lot of strife. So you're gonna have to figure out how to quiet that down, but then still assertively speak when you have the information, when you have like an understanding. If you need to speak, you'll speak. So there's definitely your mind is trying to penetrate for sure, and it's penetrating into something that there's no bottom, there's no concrete answer to situations. So be careful how far you go looking too. And I feel like also if you go looking for something right now, you're absolutely going to find it. So you have to ask yourself too, do you really want to go that far? Do you actually, is it necessary? Is it for you or is it for something else? Venus is in your second too, and it's opposite that Pluto. So it's another one with like, I think self-confidence right now. It can feel very maybe attached to, again, like with Pluto in your ninth, like somebody else's beliefs or perspective or philosophy on life. And that can be an interesting attachment right now where you're feeling like manipulated, or Gemini could be manipulating people right now too. So I don't want to make it sound like that's not a possibility. Definitely a fine line here between yourself and others, and knowing how to, in essence, to self-soothe, self-comfort, and again, not expect so much from another. If there's like a big emotional tie to what somebody else is going to show up and do right now, and you feel like you know, it maybe, you know, maybe, but if it doesn't, don't lose yourself in that situation at the same token. Like you gotta, again, take accountability for yourself, and in essence, like maybe this is something that's transforming the way you feel about yourself so that it's helping you be more free when it comes to relationships. Maybe in a sense of balance of power or want or what the roles are. Hopefully kind of opening things up and freeing you from something. Because maybe there's something that just needs a little bit of freeing when it comes to relationships because of maybe emotional ties, right? Cancer, full moon in the 6th. A lot of this is a belief sort of around, like, again, day-to-day life, routine, but it's also so self-critical. So a lot of the ways you believe about yourself, a lot of the ways you believe about how you show up in society or how you show up to others, that's getting a little bit of a check here, and it can be very heightened. Like this is a full moon where Cancer could potentially feel very insecure, inadequate, like the things they're doing aren't good enough. And this is another thing too, where I feel like Cancer's got to change their belief around this stuff. Like nothing has to be perfect. Like if you think that you have to show up perfectly in this world, you get moments of that, right? Cherish the moments where things feel perfect, or where you feel like you did a great job, but you can't be so self-judgmental for one here, and also around, the world too, like judgments and the belief of a certain way things have to be to feel like it's in order. It's very heightened in this area, and it can be an emotional drain on you, which could, bring up a lot of stress. It could just really bring some kind of pain to your body. So you got to be careful, I think, right now, and find that 12th house energy actually too, and take moments to chill out, find some solitude in life, get back, check in with yourself, and really not be so hard on yourself and not be so hard on others. So it's almost like you can quiet things down and stop being so particular about situations, you'll realize that nothing has to be a certain way in this moment to feel good. You just got to find your own purity and you'll feel good. And I think it is important for you to have a big faith and a big belief with the sun in your 12th, because that can bring a lot of creative inspiration, can, a lot of magic behind the scenes can go down for you right now. But with so much, especially the moon, that's your ruling planet, and a full moon in the 6th. I mean, you can take yourself right out of creative potential and right out of, an amazing sort of fantasy that could take you into a dream that you could start to really put effort and create, because you're too hard on whatever you think the finished product is supposed to look like. So don't get too emotionally attached and stuck in perfection right now. It can feel good for a second until you think you see one little blemish on something, and then I hate it. I hate myself for creating it. That'd be the worst thing to do with this full moon. Compassion, empathy. Nothing has to be perfect in the 12th house, because everything already is perfect. It's in God's image, right? It's some 12th house shit. Some like spiritual bypass shit. No, but it's like, that's a real thing, right? So you have to find that balance here. And I think it'll be very helpful for you. Again, a big 11th house for you. Mercury, Uranus, Jupiter, North Node. A lot of this could be about people, right? Like your friends, like almost like trying to impress friends, impress people. There's this South Node in the 5th that I think wants to kind of show off energy, and it wants to kind of be the star right now. You can't be the star of anything if you don't show people a creative product, right? Whether it's just yourself that you're expressing with, no apologies in essence. But, it takes courage to do that. And it takes, you really kind of maybe doing things different. It's so funny with all this in your 11th, like the thing that you think has a blemish on it or isn't good enough is actually what's revolutionary and what people are going to love and be attracted to, right? So this is a big one for Cancer. I think you just can't be so judgmental, one, of yourself, and then two, of what other people are going to think. You got to like shake things up and just throw the product out there because you created it, and that makes it special. And you'll find perfection in the connection with others, because people probably love whatever it is you're trying to do in life right now, whether it's working on something, a creative project, or, simply just putting your life in order. It doesn't have to be some like perfected product. Nothing does. And other people don't have to live up to that standard either. So there's a lot. I think this is a big full moon, I think, for Cancer. I think it's going to revolutionize the way they look at themselves and feel about themselves, and really find a sense of purity that can be very potent for the collective to see, and something that they'll feel very safe and nurtured in, and people around them will feel the same. But again, Mercury and Uranus is kind of wily up here in the 11th house, because it's trying to go through every timeline of the most quality sort of connection or innovations. And that quality is great, but does quality have to be perfected form? Do you have to be in some perfected form to do something? Not necessarily, no. Sometimes it's just doing it and kind of shocking people with your product or your way of living. It can be very liberating, but it's also so mentally stimulating. And with the moon in your 6th too, there's so much mental stimulation for you that it could just feel like too much, or have you wanting to isolate yourself, because again, it's almost like I'm not putting out the best product. Venus is in your 1st, opposite Pluto. So, I mean, there could be definitely vulnerabilities, just not feeling, or feeling like you really want people to show appreciation and like an emotional connection to something that you're doing in life right now. And maybe you're getting a ton of it, or maybe you're not getting enough of it. I think it's time for you to really appreciate and nurture and love and feel good and confident within yourself. That is the ticket here. And Mars in your second too, I think, wants to find and drive a lot of power home from that position, from that confident place, taking its time to build. You don't have to be so impulsive either. It doesn't have to be like rushing to get something done. Like, I think that's the fine line between the 6th and the 12th. Like, things can like have a process too. You know, you can still have a schedule. You can still like think that, you know, have certain goals that need to be hit along the way with things in life. But, you know, the more you're able to take your time, I think the better. And also not take your time to an extent that you're just judging and being critical on yourself or others. If there's a situation involving others, because there could be. Definitely people aspects too. So, all right, Leo. Full moon in your 5th. Interesting. But, right, there's certain beliefs around your ego, around your identification, around yourself, and where you put your energy and all of your power and all of your might and your courage that, well, it has to relate to other people. It has to find some, you know, win-win. If situations in life are just a belief around the self and not, you know, no consideration for others, there can be, you know, emotional tension here. There could be some strife. So there is this, like, I think also, instead of thinking even that you know everything about yourself or how powerful your creative energy is, this is like being open to new innovations that people, and in listening to people and talking with people, you know, they can actually provide a lot of inspiration for you to create with too. So it's an interesting one, because this one's almost checking your belief that it's just all about how you do it, or that you can do it all by yourself, and you'll have so much more success and happiness and stimulation, I believe, too, if you're mixing your creative power with the group or with others, you know, or even putting more attention on somebody else's success rather than your success. It's almost like though there's praise for that. And then, you know, Mars in the 1st house. I mean, the ego's popping for Leo right now. There's a lot of energy. It feels like it's go time. And this full moon is probably feeling pretty electric in its own right. Like, there's a lot to do and a lot to create. It probably just needs to find a little bit of balance with others. Pluto's in your 7th still, and Venus is finishing in your 12th. Going to come into your 1st house here in just a day, you know. That there is this like weird push and pull, and maybe like actually really desiring people to be there or to relate, but still feeling like maybe it could take you out of your comfort zone, or might take you somewhere that you don't have control over. And in essence, you don't have to have control all the way. You just have to have control over what makes you happy, but sharing, again, the happiness with people. So I think this could be another very like big lunation cycle, this full moon for Leo, because I think it's helping them realize that they have this vast energy and this vast power and this ability to show themselves like no other sign, right? And how important that is to connect that with people and to innovate based off that, and to not, you know, stay too stagnant in anything, but to kind of rebirth something of value. And especially with so much in the 10th house here, I mean, I think that Leo wants to make something, you know, substantial happen right now. And it's almost like, again, don't have to do it all on your own, but you do have to be willing to work with others, and then also just put effort in, and I think have a unique, open understanding when it comes to how things get done and to the due process. And also, I mean, this is like, again, accountability, responsibility kind of comes up in the 10th house. It's very mature energy. So, you have to take responsibility in life too. And you don't want to feel as if, it's time to just maybe sit back. Like, you kind of want to like take things on. The more you take on and the more creative energy you put in, I think the more you're going to realize how much you're learning about yourself, and how people too want to come in and kind of, they want to share the light. But there's tension right now between people and yourself, or just things that you have relationships to, even if because some people, right, they're not really relating that much. Leos usually are pretty social creatures. But nothing has to be all for another, and nothing has to be all for you. Finding the wins with others, I think, is a important factor here, and something that I think broadens and helps you reach accomplishments and goals, and helps you understand that you have so much innovative quality, but you have to share it. You have to share it. So this is like, you're also teaching yourself through others how to expand what it is you can create and how you can create it. And also maybe even revitalizing happiness when all's said and done. Because maybe there's some things in life right now that's going on that just are not, you feel like you have to go on this, journey, on this quest, but it's not bringing the happiness or connectivity that you're looking for in life. So there could be definitely a lot of ego shifts happening for Leo. Maybe deeper understandings of self that hopefully connect Leo more to the people, and sort of how to revolutionize their life and others. Very interesting point for Leo. All right, Virgo, you got a full moon in the 4th house. So this really is a lot about the way you believe in yourself. And even like what brings comfort and stability and a foundation into your life. Maybe something has to grow more, it's almost like maybe, or certain areas have reached their, they've kind of grown. Maybe certain aspects in life right now have grown out of their youth, and it's maturing, right? So how do you adapt to what is maturing in life, and also be willing to really take care of yourself better, and to mix, and that takes the accountability in the 10th house, like accountability to achieve, to be responsible, to be nurturing, whether it's for self or others, certain things that you want to accomplish. In essence, too, this is what's reestablishing a foundation. So your foundation of how you feel internally could be so heightened right now that what it's trying to do is make sure the foundation's good. And sometimes we have to release something. Maybe it's something that we felt comfortable, that we thought was really like supportive in our life, or the way that we envision and kind of see the world through our eyes. So it's almost like it's such a polarity here for Virgo. I feel like there's so much internally that's taking place that has to find a release point so that the foundation can be fortified in a better way. Now, whether this is bringing up home situations or it's strictly a feeling, it's trying to make things bigger and stronger and have more vitality so that you can accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. But you can't accomplish the big goals in life if the foundation is crumbling. So you got to check that place in your life right now and make sure that you're not just hoping and believing that the foundation will hold, but you're trying to build all this structure on top of it. If it's not strong at the foundation, it's not good. And this is like, it can be very emotional, and it can, not feel very safe at the same token. because maybe certain aspects aren't. And you have to take sort of the accountability, but you got to take on the work to refortify things in life right now. And it could just be a feeling. It could be a home situation. It could be a family situation. A lot of these areas are going to get triggered here. And your ninth house too. Oops. Very important for this. Like this journey that you're on, your beliefs, your hopes, your philosophies, like all these different sort of ideals, they're in a transformative place with Jupiter North Node and Mercury Uranus. It's very stimulating right now, and I feel like you might want to just go on the biggest journey of your life, and I think that maybe you're going to, in some essence, about maybe whether it rotates into accomplishments or a job or something that you're trying to really build, but it has to go through this belief refortification, and that's going to bring the innovation. So maybe it's something too, it's just that you deeply felt was the way, could be changing right now, or it could be amplifying at the same token. So things could be getting so amplified with your beliefs or what you're trying to see happen or your journey here, that you have to go and like shore up the supports in the basement, if you know what I'm saying. So make sure that everything that you want has a foundation to stand on, because I think there's just a lot of big stuff here for you right now. There's a lot of big maybe goals or visions. These are great, but until you have, again, that base in yourself shored up, what's going to happen when you start building, right? So something to keep in mind. Also, Mercury is your ruling planet too, and it's with Uranus, so it's just like, I mean, you could be just feeling like you're in a vortex a little bit. Like the mind can be going very fast, very far, very wide, trying to take in so much, trying to learn, share, express, understand where this journey's going. I feel like you're gonna understand that, but it's also such a deep, almost like the ego, the identity, your emotions, the foundation. There's such a sort of drastic turn of the knob and the dial towards like fast forward, that can be a little wild, you can feel a little out of control, which you have Pluto in your 6th right now, and Venus is opposing that, and Mars is in your 12th, even Chiron in your 8th. You don't want to get hung up on control right now either. It's something that'll make you, I think, feel unsafe because you can't control a situation. You're going to try so hard to control something in life that, there's your belief and your foundation. You don't have to control things to feel safe, especially external things or relationships with Saturn in your 7th and Venus in your 11th, what other people are doing. Like, it's a great time to connect with people. And I think to, find purity and harmony in the uniqueness of people and in even the sloppiness of people. Because this is an energy where you could be feeling a little sloppy too, internally. But I think there's a fun aspect to that too, where it's like, yeah, I'm going to let go, let loose. Be a little sloppy, be a little free. Like a lot of that too is maybe realizing you can be more free when you stop, trying to judge things too harshly or pick things apart. You're always going to want to get to the bottom of things and learn things. You can't change that part of you, I don't think. Maybe, but doing it in a more, Aquarian type way, if you will, like a more futuristic way. And hopefully really seeing some vision through the rebuild internally, or through the release of emotion, a stuck emotion, or feelings of some kind of maybe inadequacy, or like you have too much to journey for and too much to accomplish and too much creative talent right now to almost like waste it, because if the foundation isn't shored up, it's going to fall anyways. Libra. Full moon in the 3rd. Oh yeah, very mental, very stimulating, of course, but certain ways that you understand yourself, that you express yourself, certain ways that you really believe maybe your mind works, or how you feel your mind might work. There's a little bit of a release here. I think that for you too, it's kind of like Aries. Like there's a lot of information that wants to find you right now. You gotta. For you, it's the opposite, right? Though you kind of need to remember too that you do know, that you're always getting intuitive answers, that you're always getting something you can believe in or follow. That comes from within you. And you don't always need information or to read a book. Sometimes it's just listening to how you feel. So this could be a very, I think this could be a very good full moon, because maybe there's something mentally that's blocking you from your intuition or blocking you from your knowing. So maybe there's a shift that takes place just within the environment you're in, or some kind of a conversation that's had, or maybe a sibling, where you realize that you have more answers, and you're more of the guru in your life than anyone maybe ever was. And maybe finding the knowing and the belief in that, and not maybe believing that you have to always figure something out with another person, or have some sort of proof. You can't prove that God exists, right? You can't really even prove love. These are all hidden, they're feelings. Not even feelings, they're more emotions. So you don't have to prove things factually right now. I think you need to really believe. And yeah, beliefs too in your 8th house. Like, a lot's going on in the 8th house. It can almost feel like, how do I trust my beliefs right now? There's no factual information. How do I trust others? But in essence, it's a great bonding time. There's a lot of renewal, I think, mentally for you. There's a lot of renewal with your beliefs. You could feel like maybe beliefs are in such a transformation right now with them in your 8th house, that maybe it's unlocking like a new way of just thinking altogether, because it's a whole new way of kind of feeling, because you've uncovered something. It's almost like a metamorphosis, internally. Transformation, right? So it's a transformation of the mind, both high, left mind, left brain, right brain, Mercury and Jupiter, that I think is trying to have you also trust yourself, but really, open up in some essence to people, to deeper conversations. Surface level stuff just probably isn't going to do it right now. I feel like that's kind of got to go with the, full moon in the 3rd. But it can feel like the tower's crumbling in some essence too with that 8th house. And I think you're going to understand that there was such a purpose for anything that crumbled, because it gave you a deeper understanding of something that was hidden within you. There was something that you were meant to know. And that it's something that you were really meant to uncover, to follow. So I think there's something very special that you come to realize mentally through this situation, where it gives you really the big follow point, the big philosophy, or adds on to that because of a deeper finding, very, very investigative for, I think, deeper truth, deeper meaning. So surface level meaning just isn't going to do it. And that's probably where you're releasing some kind of whether it's a belief or ideal about a certain way to think. It's almost like you just unlocked a deeper code to intuitive thinking that I think helps you see through BS better, helps you maybe be much more decisive with situations that you want too. And your ruling planet Venus is of course opposite Pluto, so it can just feel again like this transformation is it's like so, it can feel like it's so dependent, or it's being so initiated by other people with all that eighth house too. Or that, it how would I do it without somebody else's creative power? Like, I think it's really channeling your creative power and your potential to express the things that you want for something that you really do want to achieve in the 10th house, but also, something that really feels beautiful and harmonious and something that you really want to identify with. So there could be a lot that's happening internally right now, helping you find more power to take on more things, to be more decisive in many ways, and to trust not only your own decision making, but to trust too, or not even to know when to trust when other people are trying to come in and sort of give you the information. So I think this is an interesting one. It brings up a lot of like other people and trust issues. There's certain times where you have to be trusting, and there's certain times where you kind of got to trust the feeling and your knowing. And you're more in the trust the feeling and the knowing so that you don't fall for something ridiculous. And that you're actually exerting your creative power and potential. And Mars in the 11th, I think, is down for whatever it can get its hands on that's stimulating and feels like it's going to innovate, bring some innovative quality to its life. And also to have people be around and to have people, to be doing activities and doing things with people. So yeah, interesting for Libra. I think that it's a very wanting energy around, but also having to know that you can do things by yourself too, and you need to believe in yourself more. But then also know when to merge, and really connect. So learning the disconnect, switch is important here. Because too much mental attachment to any one thing, anything can leave at a moment's notice, right? And some of this is like taking responsibility. I feel like Libras are taking their power back right now, and it might feel like mentally like it's not, like it doesn't factually look that way, but it actually is that way. Scorpio full moon in the second. This is some belief around confidence, like self-assurance, feeling like you got it, you have it, you have everything you need, you feel real good. Maybe there's something in life you believed in about yourself that actually just makes you feel bad. Or maybe you thought it made you feel good, and now it doesn't make you feel good anymore. Now it doesn't bring quality into your life anymore. And just being able to like be conscious of that and like not hold on to things emotionally right now because they want to come out. It'll change the game for you. And it's 8th house season for you with Gemini season, so it's already Gemini season is always a very scorpionic time for Scorpios, other than Scorpio season. So it's almost like you might feel like you're going through the burner in some sense, and like things are, gosh, I had this much money in my bank account and now I have this much. It's like it's disintegrating. Where'd it go? Or whatever it is of value in your life. This is a renewal time. This is trying to regenerate more quality, more value, more abundance in your life. But there's just a certain way that you've been looking at it or feeling about it, really, for you here, that it needs to change. We need to let that go away so that we can almost like go deeper into a truth that we didn't see. So you're like uncovering a new way to feel secure and self-sufficient, and also that it's so good when you can merge that with another person, when you can put your passion into energy around you, things that you want to do, want to create, want to build, but also want to relate to. So much in the 7th house. Relationships are a little wily for Scorpios right now, because the value of life can feel so heavily dependent on partnerships or external relationships to others. So some of this is like a really like, it's really trying to find self-sufficiency, but how to use the self-sufficiency to relate at a higher level, to relate at a more objective understanding level that hopefully doesn't, it's just trying to really, it is justification, but it's like, I don't know, I'm really thirsty. I'm gonna drink this. It's learning new ways to express what the feeling of comfort and security and self-confidence is to other people in a way that will offer more trust to come in, more honesty, more truth. It's just taking relationships to another level, which when we take our relationship life and our relationship understanding and our relationship to other understanding to another level, it's usually because we go through a situation that sucks, right? Now, whether this is just someone saying they wanted to go on a date and not showing up, or a friend saying, sorry, I have to cancel my plans, or this is literally like a relationship blowing up, whatever it might be, this is a time to revitalize the foundation of how we feel about ourselves and to not let that ruin connection with others in the future, but to just empower ourselves, because it's all lessons learned in how we relate to others. That's why people are such great mirrors. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're doing what we're doing, but they always give us a reflection that we need to learn and grow from. So you could be getting great lessons from people right now that might be testing, they might be pushing you out of your comfort zones. And this could be positive or, the other way. So that's another way to look at this energy as well. And Mars is in your 10th. I mean, if you want something done, you're going to do it. So you have to, I think, look at the things that you want right now so that you're putting your energy into the right thing, making sure that they're balanced, making sure that there's harmony, making sure that, because if they're just about me, it's very south node, and Mars is one of your ruling planets, and your other ruling planet's Pluto, and it's opposite Venus. So there's a ton of this energy where it's either me, because that's what makes you feel safe and secure, and you're not opening up and trusting and relating to other people. That's going to cause strife. And difference of belief could, come up too. Difference of value. So, very relationship-oriented time for you. I think it's helping you know what to really invest energy into and what not to. And when things go, they go for a reason. And that it's okay because you learned something very deep and potent about yourself that just makes you more powerful, that gives you more authority. And that's all things that just build confidence in the end. And usually in the moment, it feels like our confidence has to get broken for us to build it back up. It happens that way. Sometimes we just build. I hope that's what you're doing right now. But if you feel like things are crushing or, spinning out of control, and you don't feel safe, well, it's probably just this moon, and it's going to pass too, but you also need to make sure you're taking care of yourself in a way that is not just physically expressive, but emotionally, taking care of yourself and understanding deeper shadows that maybe other people reflect back, maybe not. And then you'll be able to put a bunch of effort into things that you want, and you're going to, hone in on things here too, so yeah. Yeah, you're gonna learn more about ways to self-soothe and to take care of yourself. But right now, you kind of got to break out of a comfort zone a little bit, and other people could be forcing you out of that in some way, shape, or form. Just, don't get angry, Take responsibility for your own growth or your own shadows if they come up right now. And you're going to learn so much, and you're going to transform the way you feel and the way you achieve and the way you relate, and so much of your external experience with others. Oops. Sagittarius, full moon in the first. Yeah, for you, this is like another one that's kind of around like the ego, right? Like certain ways that you feel about how you express yourself or how you look or how you feel about yourself. Certain things have to go through a little bit of a release point here, too. I think maybe it's kind of trying to consolidate a little bit with the sun in Gemini, but it's also trying to relate to others. So, I mean, you can be very one-pointed right now, and that's where things are very heightened. Like, I want it this way, it's got to be this way. Does it have to be? You know, the belief or the knowing that things have to be a certain way that you identify them to be isn't going to be probably very good for any relationships or any sort of external communication or dealing with things outside of yourself. Like being open, I think, to what other people have to say or express or communicate is very important right now. It'll bring balance and it'll just teach you more about yourself and how to know more about your feelings and how to know how to express and to identify different emotions and to use that emotion in your life and to act on it. You know, and it'll give you confidence in your action and also your intuitive action because you were able to see another point. You know, it's kind of like for Sagittarius, it's kind of like you have to realize you don't know everything right now. I know you're the sign of knowing it all, but you're still a human, and guess what? None of us know it all. So there's always something to learn and debate and talk about with another person, and to relate to. And I think to also, you know, not feel like you have to do it all on your own either. Like you don't have to be the Lone Ranger. If you're doing things right now and you're doing it all by yourself and it doesn't feel good or it's bringing up like, you know, anger or something, like just release that and go find someone to do something with. You'll probably feel better if you do. So you don't have to deal with everything also by yourself. So maybe even just a belief that you have to deal with your own personal stuff or the way you feel about yourself. Like you don't have, you can share that with others. They might have some really good information for you and you might learn something very special about yourself. So you're kind of like, again, also emptying your cup so that somebody else, it's almost like another person in your life, maybe it's your partner, maybe it's your friend, maybe it's a coworker, someone, you know, has a beautiful little tidbit, not even a huge story, the stories are for you, but some beautiful little that could just be a game changer. But if you don't want the little sprinkle on top and you just push it away because you don't like it, but it's the best tasting sprinkle in the world, well, how are you going to get that information? So, also Jupiter, your ruling planet, right? It's in that big sixth house of yours down there. So, I mean, this is too with a full moon in your first and all this sixth house and Jupiter there. I mean, you could be, again, very, very critical of so much, whether it's yourself, whether it's other people. Like, there's no escaping how easy it is to find judgment in life, or to judge your emotions, or to judge yourself, or to judge the things you do on a daily basis, and to like pick things apart. Mercury and Uranus here can, I mean, you could pick apart every little thing about yourself or others. This is good because it can give you identification, which I think overall, like, it's trying to get into things and understand them and analyze them so it can have a new identification of self and others and different perspectives and your own perspective. But again, if it's just the worry or if it's just like self-critique, it could cause a lot of stress. I mean, this could be a lot of mental stress too. It's very active mind right now. And I think intuitively, like, you know, something has to kind of be released or said or related, but it's almost like you can want to hold these things in. So, and then just be your critique. And you, right, like, look, we can be our worst enemy when we critique ourselves. Nothing's ever good enough to a human. It's beautiful when somebody else does it, and then when we do it, it's like nothing's ever good enough, right? Not all the time, but it's a very common trait. That's why we all have a sixth house. In essence, it pops the bubble of the fifth, and where we create and we find that just power to make something happen, and we're like, yes, and all of a sudden we come into the sixth and we critique it, right? So, oh wait, it's actually not that good. I should have done this, 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 and this. Hindsight's 2020. It's a good way to look at these things too. Hindsight 2020. You don't have to judge your past version of yourself either. Maybe you're going through a huge purification right now and trying to relate that to people. Trying to be more connected. And also, healing. Be a lot of like healing that's going on here, which can feel deep. Venus in your eighth, definitely deep. I think that Venus really does want, it's almost like somebody to really be there right now, but maybe it's too particular on who the person is. When like maybe there's just other people, like the random people, like it could be some grocery store clerk that has the information, but it's like, no, I really want it to be this one person that makes me feel good. So again, too, like being kind of open to situations can be helpful too right now with people, and with the expression too. Like if you're feeling something and you desire something, you should have conversation about it right now. If you want to make something better, like check out what somebody else's opinion is, and then don't take it personal if the answer you get doesn't fit what you wanted. Just take it as what it is, their opinion. And then make adjustments if you need to. But there definitely could be adjustments that have to be made right now, which is kind of giving you a new emotional outlook on a lot of things about yourself, and then how that looks and how that gets projected into the world. Mars in the ninth, though, is great. I feel like that's definitely trying to have you go put your energy and effort into the adventure and into the story, and could provide a lot of hope, could provide, the desire to just be on the quest, to learn more about yourself. And I think to act intuitively also. So where the mind is so stimulated, sometimes you just got to act intuitively when you're trying to create or express. Because sometimes you just got to put the expression out there too, without the hyper critique or worry that it's not going to be the best of the best of the best because you had the vision and you knew it would be. You'd be surprised. Other people might think it's the most beautiful thing in the world. And that's where I think, whatever it is, like relationships are going to be the balance point right now to show you how much transformation you've been through, to show you how much you do know, and to show you that you're always learning and growing every day, and the journey never ends. Capricorn, full moon in the 12th. Lucky you, Capricorn. Well, that's the release of some toxic belief in life, Capricorn. Like, probably believe in something that probably isn't serving you on a daily basis, that isn't helping you day in, day out. But gosh, it does feel good when you go into that space because it's imaginative, it's not real, it's a great escape. So there is an essence that some of the escapism that you feel maybe emotionally connected to, that kind of gets you out of cold, hard reality every now and then, might be getting a little either heightened, like I need to do it. So like if there's addictive qualities that Capricorns have right now, there's almost a heightened emotion that you need to do that thing. But then there's also, I think, where releasing the belief that you do need to do something that feels like You don't know why you need to do it. It's almost like that addictive quality in life. But you are maybe coming to the knowing that you can be more productive in your day-to-day life without a certain thing that maybe you believed either was going to be productive or it's just an escape tool. So, and then it's also getting you back to also like really paying a lot of attention. Like it's a good full moon to remember, like, to pay attention. Have your moments, dream, fantasize. We all have to escape reality for moments. But certain things that are an escape that are taking up maybe too much of the daily routine might be an issue moving forward. And maybe they're things that are, taking you away from your faith, taking you away from your vision and where you're pointing in life, and, where you're being led by something bigger. So kind of a sobering full moon for Capricorn. And then also one that like really does kind of point the fingers back on them. They almost like have to look at themselves very critical and be like, yeah, I probably shouldn't get into that. I know it feels so good and I lose myself in it, but there's probably a reason I'm having these judgments, Saturn's your ruling planet. I haven't talked much about Saturn during these horoscopes, but for you it's important and it's in your third house. So, right, it's going to be here for the next 2 years. Your mind is, I think, maturing, right, Cap? So this is a big maturing moment too, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally for you, that maybe it's just helping you make sense of different ways to delegate time as well. How to find balance between work, and then escaping in the right, positive, creative ways. And then, of course, this big fifth house. Stacked fifth. I mean, it's a great time with Jupiter and the North Node in your fifth here to like really put your creative potential out there. You have so much power, but it's almost like you gotta get back to work a little bit, like get back in the routine, get back in the swing of things. If you want to use that creative power, because that creative power goes to waste if it's not used. So I think it's just a very potent time for Capricorn. If they want something, they have to go do it, and they have to talk about it, and they have to speak and communicate and put effort in and express what they want and understand the things in life that make them happy, even if things feel like they're spinning around like a whirlwind. Like, I didn't even know this made me happy, or God, this used to make me happy or feel good or creative, and now, whoa, I just got put in another place, because Uranus is taking you to a whole new level of understanding your creative potential and your creative power. So it's a great time for like self-expression, and I think pulling from, this intuitive nature, but then it is really like kind of getting back into the swing of things, seeing things as they are. And if you want to create something, you got to put some work and effort into it, and you kind of want to put out a good product too of creative potential. So then you're kind of like, well, you can't just put out crap too, so you got to look over the product and kind of make sure that this is, so you're fine-tuning a creative passion right now in your life. Don't lose sight of your goals and what makes you happy and what makes you feel good. Venus is in your 7th, opposing Pluto. I mean, there's a lot in the 5th house too. I mean, if it's just like other people or romantic situations that you feel like you have to put all your creative potential into, maybe that's something that needs to be balanced too. Or maybe it's, knowing that you need to put more effort into relationships to be able to produce more romance or creative energy at the same time too. So I think there's definitely like finding out, where am I putting my energy and effort right now? Where am I putting this ego? What does it want to do? What is it creating? What is it expressing? It's really like fine-tuning that, which is going to be very helpful for you moving forward, because it's it's cleaning up some of the mess. Because it's almost like certain things were too sloppy or unbalanced. And this kind of puts things into order and kind of teaches you too that you're here to make it happen, Capricorn. Like, you're here to make it happen. That's literally what, Capricorns do. They strive and they achieve and they don't stop. They're relentless. So this is like revitalizing your energy resources to be that relentless, go get it type energy. And Mars in your 8th is cool too, because it can go in as deep as it needs to go, and that's very relentless also. So there's a lot of energy backing you up. It's just there's something subconsciously that you're doing that's not probably helping completely all the way, or you're not having enough faith too, and your belief has to change because maybe it wasn't opening up enough room for the intuition to come through into the daily life or into the routine or into the creative projects to really express them in the most authentic way. All right, Aquarius. Full moon in the 11th. Very Aquarian energy for you, Aquarius. It's got, maybe different ways too that you believed you had to rebel, or you had to be unique or different, or certain ways that you have to relate to people or take care of people or, be socially accepted. Certain beliefs like that could be at a place where they're like, wow, something's innovating here. Something's changing. That actually isn't cool anymore. That actually isn't fun anymore, not happy. Something could feel off with people, or you feel like you're actually being too mundane. So all of a sudden, I think this is a point too where Aquarius are starting to have a re-breakout moment, because they're starting to see how much unlimited sort of idealistic potential to innovate and create in life there really is. It's almost like you got stagnant in your innovative qualities to make life more, just to make it work, to make it operate properly or at a better, a higher frequency or standard, right? So it's good too, because, right, look, there can be a lot of emotion tied up in creative projects or innovations or different things that you felt really unique about, or even just the people you're around, groups, friends. Using the 5th house is really about using that creative power and that potential and that outlet of energy and the courageous nature within you to find the next level of innovation in your life, or connection, or things that light you up and feel really, really true to you and your heart. And it might be different. So, Aquarius might be feeling like they got to do something a little different here. Switch things up. And it always takes courage to step out into a more unique version of yourself. There's a line that I saw, I think it was on a meme, but it was like, once you learn to embrace your cringe, you set yourself free. Now, this was like a stupid meme I saw somewhere. But you know what? There's something to that. Your creative self might be the thing you cringe the most about showing. This is your time to not care about what people are going to think, but to express yourself in your most unique version so you can reinvent the way that you interact, the way that you project yourself and your identity. Very potent for that. Big, 4th house energy for you too. And Uranus is your chart ruler, and it's with Mercury, and Jupiter, deposits that moon. So you're in big time energy when it comes to that 4th house. This foundation, like how you establish the who you are and how you feel and what makes you feel good and comfortable. These are all like very important situations, because it's almost like you're at this point where you're understanding your solidity within yourself, like how solid you are and how firm your foundation can be when you express how you're feeling, when you express your emotion, when you believe in yourself. That's why Aquarius changes, and innovates and changes the collective and becomes that into the future type pioneer, it's because of just that. Like once they have their base and they express powerfully from that, nothing can stop them, and they can connect to anybody, anything, because they know who they are. So a lot of this, I think, is for Aquarius. They're really finding a deeper understanding of who they are and how to express and share that with the world, and how it always takes courage to do something different. When you go against the grain in life, and go against society or certain areas of life, like, people are going to look at you like you're weird. Embrace who you are to the fullest, even if it's the weirdest it's ever been. Because it's just what the future is going to look like, and people are going to, 10 years from now, be like, gosh, you were such a trendsetter, Aquarius. You really knew where things were going. I thought it was so weird when it first came out, but here we are. So embrace that, and Venus in your sixth. You are a little picky about yourself right now, and probably a little hard on yourself, whether it's your emotions, your feelings, your friendships, your relationships. Mars is trying to, I think, understand itself with the other, and there might be a desire for, extra personal connection. You can't beat yourself up right now. You can't be so hard on yourself that you're afraid to express yourself and to, share emotion. I think that's the biggest thing for Aquarius right now, is it's really time to break out of that, because Venus is about to come into your 7th too. You're really coming into some big time relationship aspects, right? With other people, with the world. Just be who you are. I know, Pluto is right there. It's about to go back into Capricorn. It's in your first house for the first time in your life. It's crazy. You really are getting a revamp of self, and it's time to start sharing that with the world, and be courageous and expressive and powerful, because you are so powerful. But if you don't believe it or feel it, you're not gonna do anything with that power, and that's just not gonna. Again, it won't be fun. It won't be exciting. It won't be edgy. It'll just be boring and bleh. So now it's just like, Aquarius, mix it up. You don't have to fit into any box. I feel like this full moon for Aquarius is like, gosh, I've been really trying to fit into a box, and I'm like literally not supposed to fit into any box. Except your own box, right? So I think this takes you back to that, so that you can start sharing it with people and relating your transformation and the power in your transformation with others. And last but not least, Pisces, full moon in the 10th. Pisces, well, I mean, potentially, different, career change is a possibility, changing responsibilities, the belief about maybe what the big achievements were in life. I really believed I was going to be this. I really believed I was going to achieve that. I really believed I was going to get the first place trophy. Maybe there's such an emotional height there that all of a sudden you don't get what you emotionally wanted or thought or knew you would receive. And I think that this is a good learning experience, and something that really helps. This is going to help Pisces mature and grow, because it's not so much about a prestige, but it's more about the inner foundation and their knowing and understanding and the expression of their self and their emotions, and sharing emotion with the world, and realizing that if they don't feel stimulated internally by what it is they want to achieve, if that changes for some reason, then it's perfectly fine. Let it change. Mix things up, do things different. But there could just goals can shift here, or you can feel like you be just so much emotion, and everything's like, oh gosh, this thing I really want, or goals or deadlines, or what the public, what other people are going to think of me, my public reputation. It doesn't really matter. None of that's actually important. The truth about what you feel and your foundation is the most important thing. And as long as you can express and be, from a truthful place about that, you'll always be able to go after the things you want. You'll always stay stimulated. So I think it's a big full moon to... You don't have to conquer the world, Pisces. At least not right now. And if that's what's tying you up emotionally and keeping you feeling stuck or stagnant, take a chill pill. Relax, rest, get closer to yourself. Do something that makes you feel good. You know, if putting all the effort into something right now doesn't feel good, it's clearly not. Time to adjust, adaptation, new information, new feeling. Oh, pivot. This could be a peek out of that feelings, and then look, Jupiter's one of your ruling planets. It's also in that third house with Mercury and Uranus. So very mental time for Gemini right now. Or, I'm sorry, very mental time for Pisces right now. Which, that can be a spiral in itself. Like, you're such an intuitive, sensitive sign, an archetype, that just understanding every little thing can be way too much stimulation. And you have so much stimulation going on in your head right now. You have to be careful. One, this is positive for expression, but you have to be expressing your feelings. And it can't just be for a mask or what you think people want to see. It's got to be the true version of yourself. Even Saturn now in your first house, you're never going to get taken seriously if you don't take yourself seriously. Whether that's taking your self-understanding seriously, your emotions seriously. But if you keep thinking that, you're not, you have to put on something or do something to please other people, to fit into society, or to do things by the books, I feel like that's what's going to hold you back right now and get you in a mental, wormhole. You definitely want to be expressive right now, but it's expressive from more of your inner self, and like how exciting it is when you have the feelings, when you have the emotions, and that you don't have to, make them look a certain way to fit any mold or any situation. And sometimes too, you might take on too much. Maybe you have too much responsibilities right now. That full moon's like, hey, you don't have to do it all at once. But this overactive mind is like, yes, I do. I can do it all. A million things at once, no problem. One, this is showing you too how much you can do and how much mental capacity you do have and how much you have to express and to say and how much you can learn, how much, stuff right around you can change and pivot at any moment, presenting new information that can make you feel more safe, more comfortable, more stimulated. So there's definitely good things going on for you too. Mars is in your 6th. Venus, of course, in your 5th, and it's opposing Pluto in your 12th. That's an interesting one for you because I think when it comes to sort of like whether it's sharing romantic sort of idealizations or feelings, like there can be like some intense sort of subconscious stuff that's pulling it away from maybe happiness or love into, something a little, what's really going on, So there's like a fine line too. It's like you want to get like really passionate with energy right now, but make sure that you're playing in reality too. So I feel like that's another thing. Mars is kind of helping you really play in reality and really see things as they are, but then it gives you the energy to actually do the work to tidy things up. Venus opposite Pluto here can want to make unnecessary drama, right? It can kind of like, there's like drama that can be caused here. Like, oh, maybe I start some drama, I'll feel better about myself or the world or the situation. Maybe you will, but I think there's a more mature way to express emotion for you right now, and I think you're learning a lot about how to express how you feel And that's going to help you achieve a lot and navigate, and also I think build more self-authority in your life. So yeah, don't get hung up on things. If you feel like the things are too heavy right now, like set some things down, you know. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I do hope you enjoyed these. I enjoyed going through them with you. I appreciate everybody for watching. 64, very nice. YouTube's telling me I should roll ads on you guys. What do you think? Should I just roll some ads? Huh? Should I? I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I did change the colors behind me. Gotta keep it fresh, you know? It's easy to do. I have an app on my phone. Sometimes I get a little, busy, but I can go pink, yellow, blue, green. I never do green. Unless I did green for like Christmas, like green and red. I forget what color I had up there before, but I did like it. I think it was like a blue, right? What did I have up there before? Oh, yeah, maybe something like that. I don't know. Yeah, happy full moon. The energy's good. It's definitely heightened. I feel pretty good though. Not gonna lie. Yesterday was crazy. Lauren and I went to the movies last night, and like the amount of like police activity was wild. Like it's like a 10-minute drive to the movie theater from our place, and there was an accident, and like one person was pulled over, and then another person was pulled over with like 3 cars behind it, and like dude was in handcuffs. And like we live in Dana Point, Orange County. Like this is a very, there's not a lot of crime. Like sure, there's crime everywhere, but like look, it's a pretty ritzy, upend place to live. So like there's just a lot of full moon activity. We're all looking at the moon like, you did this. No, I'm just kidding. Did I have a green? It was blue. We saw the Boogeyman. we we like to watch. We kind of, Lauren and I are into like scary, spooky shit together, especially. Like it's kind of, yeah, our dates are kind of spooky. Look, we have a lot of eighth house composite stuff, and yeah, they're like scary, spooky, paranormal. We're very into. That takes up a lot of our date nights. I kind of like the color I had it at, and I just cannot remember where. Oh, maybe it was like that green. Yeah, it was like that, huh? All right, cool. But I mean, I've been feeling good, so I'm happy. No, I don't listen to the Sag. Nope. Nope. Sometimes. Sometimes. Well, it's Saturday. It is my like one day off that I usually don't record anything or do consultations. But it's a full moon, and I was busy yesterday, so I couldn't do this. So I appreciate you all. I think I'm gonna log off and go enjoy the rest of my Saturday. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your Saturday too. Enjoy the weekend. Happy full moon. Hope these were helpful in any way. And just appreciate you all being here. So thank you so much, and I'll catch you all next time. Peace.